Hey, Battle Bill, here with another video, getting some more Ultra League Go Battle League battles. In today's video, I have some unique from myself, my own Community Day Poliwrath and Community Day Politoed battles in the open Ultra League, and this is legit. Like, I can't stress this enough. This isn't even just me trying to run a meme team just to like put out some content. I had a ton of success with this team comp. I actually highly recommend it. If you got the XL Pokemon from your community days this past Sunday, and if you made sure that you evolved and got good IVs, highly recommend this double poly strap with Gliscor in the lead. I have a collection, a bunch of battles. I got like a whopping 10. I gained like 100+ points in one day with it. I have every intention of continuing to run this and see if I could even push legend with it. I'm now in the mid 2800s. You see my starting elo over there was at 2728 in this collection of battles alone. But boy, oh boy, did I have a lot of fun with this team comp. I was able to use both community day moves, and going forward I need to get some unique early access community day content, and I'm not going to be shoutcasting the same battles that Henry's shoutcasting, because obviously that did not go well for my last video. But regardless, these are my own battles on this double poly strap. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Highly recommend the team. Let's get into it. Let's talk it through. Let's get through like the game plan on how you got to play the team through and what you can do to find success in open Ultra League yourself. So right now we've got our Poliwrath lined up with an Alolan Muck. Essentially, honestly, the theme of it is pretty straightforward. It's ABB, super weak to grass. Poliwrath being a water fighter, Politoed being mono-type water. They're both going to be weak to grass. Gliscor is going to cover those very well by being a ground flying type and dealing a good chunk of super effective damage to grass types with its fast attack of Wing Attack. So essentially, unless Gliscor is like winning the lead hard, you want to save swap into Politoed. Politoed is the main save swap in this meta with Ice Beam, which is great because it gives it some access to hitting like Giratina and other ghost types or dragons along those lines. Both of these mons also have ice moves to cover their grass weakness to a slight extent. It doesn't do necessarily amazing, but it's good chip damage considering the circumstances, especially if you save swap in Politoed and you can get an energy advantage. Now, as you can see on screen, this entire team gets core broken by that Pokemon right over there, Tapu Fini. The Poliwrath matchup, not that terrible. And honestly, even the Politoed matchup isn't, like, they're not good matchups. But the point is, they need to land a Moonblast because of the fact that you're a water type. So I don't really want to be with Gliscor here. Unless Gliscor has energy, that's the only time it's going to be good against Tapu Fini. But what we do here essentially is just spam as much chip damage as possible. Politoed is super spammy. Poliwrath, even with counter, gets to its charge moves quite quick. And I promise you, we're going to be able to beat that Tapu Fini. And we're going to find multiple matches, or this is at least one of them, where we take care of a Tapu Fini team. It's not like, it seems like a crazy core breaker, but being able to resist all the water damage and only worrying about Moonblast on a Mon that has a fast move of Water Gun, that's not generating energy all that well, super beatable, I promise. So, bang, land the Earthquake there. Huge. We need to get to 2 Surfs. We also don't want to shield this because a Moonblast takes us out, but another Surf, well, it doesn't, as you can see here, doesn't do enough damage to take us out because, Politoed resisted heavily, Politoed thick in Ultra League. Bang, 1 HP at the double Surfs, getting them both off. And yes, highly recommend running Surf as your charge move on your Politoed. You might be thinking, why not Weather Ball? Weather Ball is a cheaper energy move, but Surf is better DPE. It helps hit with the water damage better just based on that alone, even though it might take an extra mud shot to get to. So getting to the next match, we have Gliscor on a Clefable lead. We want to make sure we shield up the Moonblast. That goes great. We're going for an Earthquake here. This will do heavy damage. A lot of Clefables just don't shield, so that's fantastic for us. I was hoping that we wouldn't lose CMP here, something I learned in these battles, which was like, me just ironing out some of the kinks as, I was getting used to the team, is that Gliscor loses a lot of CMP. I didn't realize how low its attack was. So losing the CMP there was super unfortunate because I could just farm down. They then save swap into Charizard. We bring in our Politoed. And then you're going to get an idea of how much damage Surf is going to do to a Charizard. Unfortunately, does not one-shot. You're going to need 2 Surfs, just like you would need 2 Weather Balls to take out a Charizard in the circumstance. But regardless, it gets a shield. The mud shots are single resisted, but they'll slowly start to do more and more residual energy. We get bolt shields, which is pretty great. So I think at this point I decide to shield this up. Yeah, because like Poliwrath, even though it's a water type, doesn't do that amazing against Charizard, especially now that we're running counter, and I also have Ice Punch on it. So I felt like, you know, I got a good chunk of water damage coming off from Politoed. I wanted to make sure that we had our grasses covered, which is why Ice Punch and Ice moves are on both of these instead of a water move. And I felt like there was one other reason why, but as I shoutcast this battle, it's slightly slipped my mind. Ideally, it'll come back to me, but there's another reason why we're not running Scald instead of Ice Punch. Actually, you know what it is? I wanted the ice coverage. It was Scald or Dynamic Punch, and I needed to have Dynamic Punch just because of, you know, just to hit the steals and the things that Dynamic Punch does well with, you know, the fighting fast move counter. Anyhow, Ice Punch off onto that Clefable, takes it out, have the Surf banked from before because of the swap that the opponent pulled. We land the Surf, doesn't take out the Charizard's remaining health, and that's where I make a huge throw and I lose this match. So a few things here where I lose the match: CMPing the Clefable, also trying to get to another Surf in time. That might have been one of those circumstances where I would have liked to have Weather Ball, would have gotten there faster, taken out the Charizard, lose that match, but that was a lot of blunders on my part that cost me the match. Now, Jellicent, another mon you might think is concerning for the team comp, so bang, here we have it. Most ideally, you know, you line up a Gliscor and you boost a bunch with Night Slash. That's a fantastic way to beat a Ghost type, but also, even with Politoed not having Earthquake, which I think you can get away with if you'd like. I wanted to mainly run this for the Community Day move. Running Politoed with Earthquake instead of Ice Beam may improve this team, and it definitely would improve the matchup against Jellicent, but Politoed doesn't do all that terrible in getting some chip damage off on Jellicent in case that's something that's in the back line. Also, you could swap the Politoed, lure out the Jellicent, and then Gliscor can essentially take care of it later and do the remaining damage and get some good farm going into its potential next matchup, essentially. So that's like other logic to apply with this team comp in the ABB format and the swapping and luring out. Bang, double boosted Earthquake, one shot to Scrafty, crazy. Thought Gliscor was about to 1v3 the entire team. Saw why they stayed in with Jellicent so hard, because their last mon is also Ampharos. But Ampharos, a little scary here. We couldn't swap out of the lead because it was Jellicent, and Gliscor is our best matchup there. So I have to pull a little funky catch there and catch an electric move on my water type. You'll notice I'm not throwing the Surf here, and that's to force them to throw and not Volt Switch my Politoed all the way down. And that means if I get the Ice Beam off, that should be enough damage. They're at another Thunder Punch, but they can't get to anything bigger because they weren't able to just completely farm down my Politoed, and I was worried that, you know, Surf wasn't going to do enough damage to the Ampharos' remaining health, and bang, Poliwrath gets to the Dynamic Punch. A match that looks like I was about to 1v3 comes down to the littlest sliver of health, and we pull off the dub. Opponent, G-Fisk lead, safe swaps into Dragon Breath Giratina. Our back line, as much as they have ice moves, those mons have ice moves, we still need to help it out, so we throw a Night Slash and dip, and now we've got this Giratina essentially in Ice Beam range with its current health. Opponent throws a Dragon Claw, Politoed, super thick mon. I think Ice Beam does help it a lot, but at the same time, I think you could still have success with this team while running Earthquake, which I think is another legacy move anyway. You'd have to Elite TM it regardless. So I guess pick your poison on whichever move is easier to access. We go for a bait here because they shield the first Ice Beam, fully expecting them to want to, like, you know, get alignment. They do not shield the next one, so very upset about that. I decided to use a shield of my own because I want to get their last shield, and then I want to come in with Gliscor because obviously I'm going to lose this out. But at the very least, I'll be able to get some decent farm with Gliscor onto the Giratina. They Dragon Breath us down there. We come in with the Gliscor. We're going to let the first charge move come through. Should be a Dragon Claw. Do a little bit of some neutral damage. We can't wing attack all the way down as much as we'd love to. So we're going to throw a Night Slash here. This will take out the remaining health of the Giratina. And then they come back in with the G-Fisk, which I was happy to see because my concern was, you know, they flip switch. And essentially now I need to get some residual energy for Gliscor to deal with their last mon. But apparently the last mon's also weak to Gliscor. We built it to Earthquake, waited a turn. We knew we'd survive the Rock Slide the way we did. Bang. Land the Earthquake. Actually, super surprised. I don't know what they were expecting. I completely this match kind of slipped my mind. There was almost no reason to bring in the Gliscor, the G-Fisk, the way they did back into my Gliscor. They should have came with the Pidgeot. But at the same time, Pidgeot does technically counter Poliwrath, so I guess it's not really the worst play on their part either way. But Pidgeot does well against Gliscor because the Night Slashes kind of struggle to add up. Regardless, we get rid of the Pidgeot with our shield advantage with Poliwrath. Our opponent gets to a move here. It's just going to be Rock Slide. We're going to be able to counter down. The counters doing good neutral damage to the Pidgeot. Pretty huge for that matchup. That was really cool. Now we move on to the next one. Also, there was in that last match, weird visual glitch. That Earthquake did land on the G-Fisk, which is why we got rid of it, as you already saw. Anyhow, next match, now we have a safe swap of Shadow Steelix lined up with our Poliwrath. This is amazing. Steelix really has nowhere to go against our entire team comp, so we just overfarm a little bit, land of Dynamic Punch, just because we want to force their shield first or keep alignment, and then they come in with the infamous Jellicent, which is what we're going to be weak to. So we're trying to punch a ghost. Really fantastic idea here. Throwing resisted ice punches, really not doing great damage. Our opponent does decide to throw a charge move. We're obviously not going to commit to our Jellicent. Unfortunately, they are able to get a little bit of farm there, and we'll go off another ice punch, but that residual damage isn't even all that necessary. Now, based on the lead, their lead was Virizion, and this matchup would go way better if I had Earthquake, but Politoad's going to be able to do enough. Throw on proper move timing. You're a 2-turn fast move going up against a 3-turn fast move, so you want to throw on 1 of your fast moves, 4 of your fast moves, or 7, and then you're just essentially spamming resisted surfs and seeing what health range you can bring this Jellicent down to so the Gliscor can come back in and, you know, farm it up and take it out. We swap here, try not to get Hex down. They did leave with some of their own residual energy, which was not ideal, but we do have a good shield scenario, and we know the Virizian's in the back, so we're not sitting in a bad spot. We're going to throw a Night Slash here. This almost takes out the Jellicent. Our opponent decides not to try and preserve their Jelly, which would have been pretty huge for them just because Virizion not really going to like this matchup as much as it does resist all the charge moves. The wing attacks are double super effective, so as long as I can just start spamming these Night Slashes and maybe potentially get a boost, we can then wing attack it all the way down. I throw Night Slash here though and not wing attack it down because I want to essentially throw and force CMP. I wanted them to be forced to throw their charge move and potentially use a shield and protect their Virizion, which is what they did. I had to make them make a decision. The Jelly comes back in, we wing attack it all the way down, because if I did not throw my charge move there, they could have just willy-nilly gotten my last shield, and as much as I could have had some residual energy for the Jellicent, they could have potentially, you know, used that shield there, but then again, I wing attacked it down anyway, so who knows, whatever, it worked. Getting to the next match, we got Politoad up. Well, I got Registeel here. I'm pretty sure I lost lead, save swap Politoad. Unfortunately, don't have Earthquake here, so this matchup is a little bit worse having Ice Beam on it. They're going to throw Zap Cannon to us. Does huge, super effective damage. Gets the attack debuff, which is super unfortunate because I'm pretty sure even with going straight Surf, Politoad keeps this pretty close. And without the attack debuff, we might have been able to like flip this or force a shield. It would have been close. I mean, the mud shots would add up more. The surfs would have done more damage. So, like, you know. But then again, Zap Cannon's a 50-50 chance. So, it's like, that's still, like almost a guarantee that you're going to get debuffed. We're cool with that, though, because we can come with Gliscor, farm all the way down. Whether they throw Focus Blast or Zap Cannon, we single resist each of them. They don't get a debuff, which is pretty huge for us. We farm it all the way down to an Earthquake. They come in with the Swampert lead that they had. We go straight for the Earthquake because of our huge energy advantage. They do not use a shield. We come with Poliwrath, and what's cool about, well, that specific slight section of the match is that, like, when you come in Poliwrath, you can try and farm things down now with counter. I mean, counter on Poliwrath is amazing. I'm sure you know it. I'm sure you've seen like a million videos on it. Huge upgrade for Poliwrath in all leagues. Politoad, more like side grade-ish. Like I said, I highly recommend this team. You may not necessarily need CDAY move Politoad and go with the Ice Beam, but the extra ice coverage definitely did help me out in the circumstances where, you know, Politoad was locked in with a grass type that would have countered it, or like the dragons, like I mentioned earlier. Regardless, we have shield advantage here. We're going to commit to a huge wing attack, farm down, or at least try to, and see if they decide to swap themselves out. They do swap themselves out. I don't think I can wing attack down the Swampert, but also I'm going to end up building up so much energy. I need to throw some of it. So we get the 2 Night Slashes here. We do CMP. I don't mind CMPing here. I know the Swampert's still pretty far, a little bit off from their next Hydro Cannon, even though Swamperts do typically, like, you know, spam them really fast. But I know it's safe to CMP and lose it because we can wing attack down the Charizard and bang, there's another dub there. Getting to the next match, we got Shadow Gliscor up against a Cobalion. We like this matchup a lot just because the only neutral damage they're able to do against us is Stone Edge. We do shield this though because based on the fact that they're staying in, we're feeling like they want to, we're feeling like they're ABA weak to Gliscor. Now, they are. That's my point here. They came in with Charizard, and we make a play that is a little, like, suspicious. Might not work. Could have bit me in the butt, but, like, they saw Water type and got scared and got their Charizard out, which is huge. We pivoted. Also, we wanted to pivot so we can lure out the other Mon that would be weak to our Gliscor, which is their Toxicroak, and that's what we did. So that's huge. Then again, Poliwrath played this, like, pretty close, all things considered. We come back with the Gliscor. We're going to wing attack down. Now, I got a little cocky in this matchup. They're going to, I think it was this match. We wing attack down the Toxicroak. We have a 1 shield, 2 shield situation against the Charizard. We throw a Night Slash in hopes of either getting the shields or doing the little bit of chip damage we need so that Surf from Politoed will take out. And at this point, I'm sitting here like, I'm gonna be fine. This is fine. Surely I'm gonna be okay here. So I shield up the first move, thinking to myself, even if they beat me like they did, 2 blast burns, not gonna be a problem for my beautiful cotton candy swirl shiny XL Ultra League Politoed from this blessed community day. Well, on the other hand, they had way more energy than I expected, and they get all 2 blast burns, and this is going to leave my Politoed in a little bit of a suspicious health range, and I'm not at 2 surfs. That surf bubble's not filled up. I still need to do 1 more mud shot. Will I survive the wing attack? Barely! Oh, those IVs. Ugh. Chef's kiss. So I got to get out and grind those community days and catch the best things that you possibly can. Win that with 1 HP. Then again, at the same time, Gliscor might have been able to come in and get the Night Slash, but not very likely considering they would have gotten farm if I just didn't live there. Anyhow, next match, we've got our Politoed lined up with another Charizard. Isn't that crazy? Happens a lot here. We land the first Surf, which, again, not doing an ideal amount of damage against Charizard because it does not do enough to take out, which is where you can potentially make an argument for Weather Ball over Surf on Politoed just because you get to them faster, and I'd get the 2 Weather Balls here to take out this Charizard faster than I get to the 2 Surfs because I need 2 no matter what. But Surf is just better DPE in like a lot of other matchups. But this is one of those that like specifically you feel the side effects of that circumstance. But regardless, we're building up to 2 here. We ended up having to commit 2 shields and they only committed 1 just because I just didn't like pay great attention to energy as much as I should. But they come back from the Virizion, and this is one of those cool situations where Ice Beam does help us. They want to commit to a double kick farm down. We get off an Ice Beam, does half the Virizion's health. They're still committing to the double kick down. We almost get to the second Ice Beam in hopes they don't know the counts. We throw Surf there. Unfortunately, they don't shield. Would have been really cool if we got the shield, but regardless, Gliscor slaughters Virizion quite well. They're going to throw their charge moves. Should be a Leaf Blade. Expecting a Leaf Blade. Just doesn't do enough chip damage that we're worried about. And then they come in with a Registeel. And even though they have a shield advantage, and even though Poliwrath is a water type that's weak to electric, we're in a good predicament. They also don't get a debuff, which is huge, but we're going to outpace them to 2 dynamic punches regardless. We're going to get off the first one here. Bang. Doesn't take them out. We throw Ice Punch here just because we can't commit to the counter down and they still have a shield. Bang. They're still not committing to their Registeel. It survived the Ice Punch, which is also crazy. And they're really just doing their best to double kick down a lot of things with Virizion. And he just barely fell short in both of its circumstances here. We get the last shield, an Ice Punch. We swap. We catch. We saw how much Leaf Blade did earlier. We're not worried about how much Leaf Blade's going to do to our Gliscor here. 1 wing attack. Bang. Takes out Virizion. Wins us the match. Getting into this next one, this one specific match, I saved for Yasser because Yasser saw my tweet about, whatchamacallit. Oh no, I had a clip where I was running this team and he was making fun of my Politoed not having Earthquake, and he was hoping I ran into all the Jellicents in the world. I think it was this match. I hope it is. I'm going to feel stupid if it's not, but I'll point it out when it ends up being. We got Shadow Gliscor on a Drapion here. We're going to play the bait game. Doesn't go well. We're at a shield disadvantage. Not ideal. So we swap, catch, because they're throwing immediately when they get to Aqua Tail. So we're safe swapping Politoed here. And bang. Oh, wait. They haven't thrown it yet. They build up their energy. And then bang. Look who they come in with. They come in with the Politoed. So Yasser's 100% correct. This matchup's not good when you don't have Earthquake. But we're just going to throw so many goddamn Surfs. And it's going to give us the amount of chip damage that we need so that Gliscor can come in here and farm up this Jellicent and get some energy that is needed for that Drapion that is still alive and hopefully potentially their last Mon. But as you can see, these Surfs are quite a struggle, and hopefully you know who I'm talking about when I say Yasser. I mean Yasser, a lead Twitch streamer, Pokemon Go Battle Leader, YouTuber, makes amazing content, fantastic personality. Highly recommend checking out his content if you haven't already. But yes, we do a very satisfying amount of damage. Not really. It'd be way more satisfying if I Earthquaked, but we're going to come in with Gliscor. Oh, I forgot. We can't even farm it down. I get a little over farm. We throw Night Slash. But that's what we do. We lure it out. That's how we deal with the Jellicent. Gliscor takes care of it. Bang. 5-head. Smart game planning by me. We swap, knowing they're on Aqua Tail. Fully expect the opponent to throw it immediately because that's just what they've been doing. And then just make sure, if you're running to a Jellicent, that the opponent's last Pokemon is also Scrafty, so that Poliwrath can absolutely go bonkers, and you don't have to worry about how bad the Politoed matchup against Jellicent is when you don't have Earthquake. Regardless, bang, you have a dynamic punch. They decide to shield it. We're not shielding up anything here. They're going to try and ramp up with counters and pups. And I mean, that's what they're doing. We're going to throw an ice punch because at this point, this would do enough damage to take out the remainder of the Scrafty's health. And then we swap into Gliscor. They get to a charge move. We know they're Drapion Energy Drive because they threw that Aqua Tail and then swapped immediately. So we were fine with shielding a pup because I wasn't 100% sure if it was a pup or a foul play. So that was a safer decision there, knowing that Drapion had no energy and I can Earthquake it. Scrafty comes in, wing attack it down. Bang, GG's. Out of like 10 battles here, I went 9-1. Absolutely popping off in Open Ultra League. Have every intention of continuing to run this team. Highly recommend it. Only slight change that I would, again, I've said it like 20 times. You can go Earthquake on Politoed, and that's pretty safe. But on that note, let me know the thoughts on the team. We got some double Poly content, double Community Day Polys, and it went way better than I could have ever imagined. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, as always, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace!